It's the Lemesis, your nemesis, but you can call me Lem. And welcome to Just Another Cheesehead podcast. We have an interesting update. Breaking news just a few hours ago was reported on the internet that the Green Bay Packers have a new defensive coordinator. And that sounded weird. Defensive coordinator. And his name is Jeff Hafley. At least I believe that's how you pronounce it. Matt LaFleur. He was quite difficult. There's interesting last names, but I don't know if it's Hafley. I guess we'll find out when he gets introduced by the Green Bay Packers and they have their press conference. I'm probably saying it incorrectly. So first and foremost, I want to welcome Jeff to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, we are a cordial bunch. Even though we don't all agree on certain topics, I'm interested in what you can do with our defense. From what I'm reading, it doesn't sound all that great, but I could be wrong. This could be a good thing for me, which I think is a sign of the end of Matt LaFleur and hopefully Brian Gutekunst, or it could be the great turnaround that propels us into having multiple championships. I mean, Bill Belichick won 2 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator with the Giants. So, I mean, this could be it. This could be it. But let's take a dive into him because, I mean, honestly, I don't really know much about who he is, his background. I've read on some things online, but I kind of want to break this down together with you all so you can just, we can think about what potentially our future will look like. Can we have a hopeful future? Is this looking like it's a dumpster fire? I don't know. So he's not. Let's start off with what we can see, right? Is he as handsome as Matt LaFleur? I would say no. He's got a clean cut though. He's rocking the 12 o'clock shadow. But of course, let's go straight to the Packers. Now, of course, the Packers aren't going to post things about the guy that suck, right? So let's start here with what Green Bay thinks we should know about him, the 5 things they think we should know about him. And then there's a few unfavorable articles that I want to bring up that just bring out some interesting facts. So again, we're going to be showing these articles online, where they're sourced, who wrote them, because this is not my content. But we're reading them on Just Another Cheesehead podcast so we can educate ourselves as fans. Remember, we're here to be better Packer fans, to be better cheeseheads, so we can make educated guesses and help predict our future and hopefully help this front office to steer in the right direction and be the fans in the stands supporting the Green Bay Packers while they're on the field. Now, we'll say this. The season didn't end so well. I guess for me, at least, I don't think. Some people just because their expectations are so low. But what I don't want is I don't want us to be Lamar Jackson in the next 2-3 years, like with the Baltimore Ravens, right? Where you have a winning season, but you lose in the divisional round, and then everyone talks trash about you. But let's move on. I want to get on that horse. We're here for Jeff Hafley. Hey, LaFleur. So, so number one, the Packers have tabbed Jeff Hafley as their new defensive coordinator, and they want us to know the first things that Hafley served as a head coach at Boston College the past 4 years. Now, I think this is important. Let's check it out. Let's see what he's done. The Eagles, it's the Boston Eagles. They were bowl eligible during 3 of Hafley's 4 years. So they're bowl eligible while he was at the helm, earning a 23-14 win. So there were 23-14 win. That's the score of the game, not like the record. So I read that wrong in my mind. Over number 24 ranked SMU in the Fenway Bowl last month. Boston's college 7-win season also included a narrow 31-29 loss. Okay, we're just talking about wins and losses, scores irrelevant, which then finished undefeated at 13-0. This past year, the Eagles defense ranked. This is interesting. They ranked in the top 30 nationally in passing yards allowed. 26 with 197.2 per game. And completion percentage, 29th. Now, we got to remember, this is not in the NFL. We're talking about like hundreds of teams. So they're saying this because they think it's a good thing. right? That's why they're saying this because again, we're not college fans here. I'm not a college fan. I like to see the pros. But eventually, the rookies, the young guys, the guys who are wet behind the ear, they eventually get an opportunity to make it to the NFL. So we can't completely poo-poo these stats here, but I don't think this is really that impressive, right? If I'm hearing top 10, top 15, now we got something. But when I'm hearing top 29, 26, and I know to an extent how college work, the bowls are all weird. You could go undefeated and still not even play like the best team because, they have to pick you. So it's a little odd, but let's keep going. In 2022, Halfley and the Eagles picked up the program's first win over a ranked opponent. So there you go. When you start to actually play ranked teams, that's when I guess, this group of guys who just kind of pick teams to be in the ranking or whatever, they kind of acknowledge you. But he did that in 2018 and first over an AP ranked opponent since 2014. So that was a pretty big upset, which was number 16 North Carolina State on the road. The season was highlighted by the current Baltimore receiver Zay Flowers. Okay, setting a single season and career program record in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So Flowers became the fourth, but we don't care about Flowers. He made a big boneheaded mistake this last weekend that might have cost the Ravens, but we won't go into that. In 2021, Halfley's Boston College defense ranked third nationally in passing yards allowed. Okay, that's not bad in 21 with 173.5 per game. The Eagles were also top 30 nationally in 6 other defensive categories: total defense, red zone defense, first downs allowed, third down percentage, team passing efficiency, and defensive touchdowns. Halfley's disciplined squad led the ACC in the fewest penalties and fewest penalty yards. Now, that's an interesting note, but I will say coaching, young men in college is quite different than coaching the young men in the NFL, but that's good to know because penalties are killer. Discipline is something that we need. I do think we lack discipline. It would be nice to see that. I mean, making sure men aren't lined up on the wrong side, making sure men don't miss their assignments. That's not a bad thing, right? So if we can bring discipline, that'd be nice. Now, he served alongside the Packers offensive coordinator, Adam Stenovich, and Kyle Shanahan's staff in San Francisco. So that's not bad. Those are some decent names. Halfley's first arrived in Santa Clara, California as a defensive backs coach, and Chip Kelly's staff. I don't really like the name Chip Kelly. We saw what he did with the Eagles, and he was in and out. So to me, I will say this, the vibe I get from this hire, just kind of briefly reading through all of this, is this really a hire to help our team win, or is this really a hire to help our guy out? Meaning, like, if I'm Matt LaFleur, this is my guy. He used to kind of help out. Is he helping a buddy, or is he really trying to build a legacy? I tend to think this is kind of a buddy move and not really necessarily a legacy move, but it's like a internal nepotism type buddy move, right? Where, I know you, you know me, used to coach. You didn't really get your opportunity, but you took what you could. You went to college, and now you can come back. So let's see. On Shanahan's staff, Halfley also worked on the San Francisco defensive coordinator and current New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh. Those are all great names. Now, what I don't like about this is kind of like what Green Bay did. Green Bay, they didn't get Kyle Shanahan. They didn't get what's his name on the LA Rams, Sean McVay. They got the guy who was like under him and under him, or the guy who like kind of knew him and then up, but they know him. Like he would see him in public and be like, "What up, Matt?" But like they really wanted Sean McVay. They really wanted Kyle Shanahan. This seems like a big reach, right? Where so it's like, okay, so he was under Robert Saleh. That's cool. I would love Robert Saleh as a defensive coordinator. I think that's a no-brainer. But he's the head coach of the New York Jets. If things don't work out, come on over. And if we're really asking for things, we really want Bill Belichick to be leading this team. I'm going to throw that out there as just like a potential Wink, wink. You can't see me behind this mic, but maybe. That would be amazing. Because if we could get someone like Bill Belichick, then I would have a lot more respect for Brian Gutekunst as a general manager if he can pull that off. That would be absolutely fantastic. I think he would kind of he would quell a lot of the fire that I've been throwing at him here, you know? But we'll continue. So Stenovich left to become Green Bay's offensive line coach while Hafley was hired as a co-defensive coordinator slash a DB coach at Ohio State. So what happened at Ohio State? Hafley's pathway to San Francisco came after working on Mike Pettine's staff for 2 seasons in Cleveland. Not Mike Pettine's best, where Shanahan served as offensive coordinator in 2014. And during that time, Hafley also served on the same Browns, blah, blah, blah. But the Cleveland defense in 14 led the NFL, an opponent passer rating. The opponent completion percentage of 57.1, while ranking second in interceptions. That's not bad. But again, if he was that good, why didn't he get a defensive coordinator position in the NFL? I need to kind of hear the reasoning. I need to hear like, oh, my family went here. We didn't want to have that kind of pressure anymore. That's why I went to go coach college. And I guess we'll hear that in the press conference. But I just don't understand that if Green Bay is going to take these 5 points and point them out and want me as a fan to read them and go, let's get excited, there's a lot of gaps here that I think need to be filled in. Like, if these are the things you want to point out in 2014, it's good to know you've been in the NFL before, right? It's not like, I think last time, right before we hired Joe Barry, Matt LaFleur was trying to get some dude who ain't never coached in the NFL an opportunity to be our defensive coordinator. And that's a stretch. And let's not forget, I mean, I'm not saying Joe Barry's the greatest defensive coach, mind and defensive coordinator ever, but I mean, the team, I believe, ranked in the top 10 defenses overall when it was all said and done. And we showed out pretty good in the playoffs where it matters most. So, and sometimes you lay an egg. I mean, if you even go back and you look at the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, not every game that them fools played did they allow the offense not to score. They were scored on. So again, they're not the Baltimore Ravens defense of old, not by any means, but I don't think Joe Barry was the only problem. I think it was just an easy scapegoat. And I mean, he had to know that was coming. So Hafley coached current Packers inside linebacker Iser McDuffie. We don't care about that. He got his coaching start in the college ranks. Okay. He began his coaching career in Worcester Polytech in 2001 as a running backs coach. From there, he spent his stints as defensive assistant in Albany. Blah, blah, blah. We don't really care about any of that. Hold on, let's see. Rutgers. Haley's first year at Pitt, helping the DBs coincide with the Hall of Fame cornerback Darrelle Revis. Yeah, that's just trying to pull names, way you can connect the dots. It just shows me the Green Bay Packers front office has a way with words. So that's not impressive. That's why I'm kind of just skimming over all of this. And then lastly, for all the coaching he's done with the defensive back, he was actually a wide receiver as a collegiate player. Okay, nobody. All right, Green Bay, you're not helping. Okay, none of this stuff is juicy. None of this stuff's really going to give us a good idea of who we got going on here. So I do think that this NFL article that we have here and this other A to Z sports article really is going to be a great indicator, or at least be able to go into a lot more detail of what I think we as cheeseheads really want to know. So Green Bay's reaching into the college ranks. It's for a defensive coordinator replacement. And this is by Nick Shook. He did this today, just a few hours ago. So this is fresh off the press. The Packers hired Boston College head coach Jeff Haley as a coordinator. The team announced Wednesday. The NFL insider Palacero reported Green Bay was hiring him. He enjoyed some relative instant success. I thought this was interesting. Instant success at Boston College, leading to a 6-5 record in 2020. I don't know how that's instant success, but whatever. And then he had a 6-6 record in 2021, earning an extension to stay with the Eagles through 2026. I mean, I guess 6-5 is a winning record, so instant success. That's a weird phrase, instant success. And then 6-6, he broke even. And an earning extension to stay there through 2026. And since then, though, things have taken a downward turn. The Eagles finished 3-9 in 2022 and just barely managed to return to bowl eligibility status with a 6-6 record, despite playing a schedule with a strength ranking of 76 out of 133. And that was in 2023. Not so good. Now, Simply Halfley was on the hot seat entering in 2024 instead of leaving his fate to the increasingly unpredictable environment of modern college football. The coach instead seizing the opportunity to latch on to an NFL team. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. He's helping his buddy. You know, they got a history. This doesn't really seem like a surefire, hire that looks really, really solid. This is just kind of like giving an opportunity. It's just, to me, there's some people who, when you start up a business, you hire your friends or you hire the person that's going to be good at the job. And sometimes when you hire your friends, and I would say a lot of times when you hire your friends, it doesn't work. And I will say this, I mean, I've had situations in the past where I had opportunities to hire friends or people that I know. And then the people that I know people that they know, or people who are my friends have people they know. It didn't always work out the best. I would almost say almost every instance it didn't work out the best. There was always just got something in the way. So, I don't know. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't seem like a smart move. So it says he'll head north to Green Bay, where Packers fans become intimately familiar with an unpredictable Joe Barry defense that finished 17th in total defense, but this was 10th. He was 10th overall in scoring this season, which is what matters most, right? I made that mistake earlier. He was 17th, not 10th, but they finished 10th in overall scoring this season. And scoring defense is all that really matters. But they also gave up 24-plus points in the loss at Atlanta, Detroit, Minnesota, the Giants, Tampa Bay. So, you have a few bad games here and there. Barry's unit also surrendered a stunning 30 points in a tight win over the lowly Panthers, who finished with the worst offense in the NFL in both the yards and points per game. But again, he was 10th in scoring defense. So here's how I look at that, right? To me, this could just kind of shows you that, like, maybe the quality of play is really low in the NFL. Is that if we can still finish 10th in scoring, but then get the breaks almost beat off of us by the lowly, using your words, Carolina Panthers, that's not really saying much about the league. So just to think the league as a whole, there really isn't that much of a gap between teams in comparison to others, because everyone kind of sucked, especially in the NFC, and then the fact that, like, we were able to, the 49ers struggled against us. I mean, we had that game in the bag, and, even the 49ers didn't look all that great. And to be honest with you, I thought it was going to be Baltimore and San Fran, but ended up being, trusty old Patrick Mahomes. This year does seem a little bit off. Like, this seems like one of those down years, one of those weird years that kind of add on stats, kind of one of those, like, oh, yeah, and Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl that one year when they played San Francisco. Yeah. Remember that? Yeah, they played them twice. Yeah. Like that. That's what that feels like when you're having the buddy conversation and you're doing the barbershop talk. This is one of those barbershop type situations where you almost forget the year that some so-and-so won the championship, because the year was just so forgettable. And this year feels very much like that. So it says Barry's defense held up well enough for the Packers to reach the divisional round, but crumbled upon arrival, blah, blah, blah. We know what happened. We don't need to hash that out against the 49ers. Halfley will be handed a simple yet complex task in Green Bay. And let's see. Well, we're going to skip all that because it's just a bunch of nonsense. Let's get to this next article I remember here. So it looks like, according to this guy in the A to Z Sports, this is Wendell Ferreira. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but if you're watching, you can see that on screen. Let's get rid of this ad. There we go. So it says Matt LaFleur decided to take a 180 turn by hiring Boston College head coach Jeff Halfley. The Packers will run This I thought was interesting. A different style of defense, starting with a transition from a 3-4 to a 4-3. So we're switching it up again. I remember when we switched it when Dom Capers came in. But Dom Capers was a name, right? I mean, at the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was Dom, right? And we won a Super Bowl with Dom. So, let's not, I'm just saying. But he brought in the 3-4, and it looks like we're going back to the 4-3. Now, the differences between base schemes aren't so pronounced as they were in 2009 when the Packers made the transition to the 3-4 with Dom Capers. And currently, teams run nickel defense most of the time, so they play with 4-down linemen either way. However, there are some structural differences in alignment and a gap strategy. So it says, Haley's differences when compared to Joe go much beyond the base. Packers will have a single high-centric defense. I'm a little nervous about that. I remember reading this, having a single high safety and not having those two highs. It says goodbye two highs / quarter heavy defense. And Hafley's also much more aggressive to send blitzes and to apply man coverage. I don't know, man. I mean, this article goes on later to talk about the personnel we have. But, I mean, these guys aren't in their prime anymore, at least in my opinion. I mean, maybe Eric Stokes, but, Jair Alexander, he can't stay healthy, and we'll get into that. But he says, nobody loves single high and middle of the field closed coverages more than half. Said Michelle Wolf, a staff writer for the BC Eagle Insider. So this guy loves single high safety. I am not a fan. He's pretty aggressive with blitzing. To me, that's you're going to get burned. You're just going to get beat over and over. That means you got to have speed. If you don't have speed and if you can't play man-to-man, you're donezo. Now, if Jair can stay healthy, I mean, we've seen him give up some plays. If Jair can stay healthy, if this was like, Jair after like year 2 or 3, I think I'd be all about it. Eric Stokes, he hasn't played much. And we've seen plays where he just gets lost in the dust. Now, he does have that gaining speed to catch up if he makes a mistake. But, we can't have you running afterwards, after the fact, trying to make up for the loose ends. So, I don't know. But here's the part. The big problem for the Packers over the last couple of years was a perception that Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur wanted to run a scheme that wasn't ideal for their personnel. Cornerbacks Jair Alexander and Eric Stokes, for example, are well-suited to play man coverage. The Barry zone's heavy scheme doesn't take advantage of what they do best. So it puts a lot of pressure on those guys, and can they live up to it? I don't know. It can also be applied to safety Darnell Savage. He played better under Mike Pettin, who allowed him to be closer to the line of scrimmage. With Barry, Savage was forced to play as a deep safety, something he isn't equipped for, and his value for the Packers and his perception around the league went south. But again, we were ranked 10th in scoring, so does that mean we're just going to reverse the stats? Are we just going to be ranked, 17th in scoring and then maybe 10th in total yards? To me, that kind of matters, right? I don't want to reverse those numbers. I want to improve both numbers. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I'm kind of telling you what I think as we go through this whole thing together. But at the end of the day, anything that I say right now really, I mean, we don't know, right? We don't know. Now, you can say about Jordan Love, we can know. We can know when we see that dude play. We've talked about this many times, but I don't know, defensively, I mean, I know this. If you can get a great defensive coordinator in there and that defense can be stout, that's the formula to start for winning championship football. I mean, that's what we needed, right? We needed guys who were going to pick off Brock Purdy. We needed guys. I mean, that would have totally shifted the atmosphere of the game. Even if Jordan Love throws a pick, if you have a defense that can shut it down, it don't matter. I mean, that's what we saw with Tom Brady his entire career, despite what people want to say, is that there are plenty of games where Brady has looked terrible and their team still won because he had a great special teams and a great defense. So, I mean, that's a fact. So Jeff Haley has a big NFL track record in terms of very defensive schemes. He's worked under Greg Schiano, Mike Pettin, Jim O'Neill, who was Pettin's coordinator with Cleveland, and then Robert Saleh. Saleh's connection is particularly interesting. The head coach and a close friend to Matt LaFleur. The relationship certainly had a weight on the Packers' process to hire Hafley. Again, a little concerning when you read this. Are we playing buddy ball, right? You throwing it to your friends? Are you trying to build a legacy? Or are you just trying to, help a brother out, right? Just because when Thanksgiving come around, you could always say we can invite Jeff over because, I helped get him a coaching job in the NFL. I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. So Hafley worked 3 years in San Fran, and the last two of which under Saleh, and the 49ers ran a 4-3 base defense with a heavy usage of cover 3. Saleh was gone through a transition over the years, but his roots as a defensive mind come from the Seattle Seahawks under Pete Carroll. Greg Schiano liked to run simulated pressure, something that has been trending again in the NFL, and that's something Hafley can take advantage of as well. And it will be a process to understand exactly what Hafley will run as a Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator. And I guess it's still kind of up in the air. But however, it's clear that Matt LaFleur wanted something completely different from what they had with Joe Barry, and that's what they will get. Well, that's quite interesting. So that's Mr. Jeff Hafley. We pulled up his school and, kind of breaks him down, goes through the family, goes through the specifics. We don't have time to go through all that right now, but I just thought it was interesting. And then, of course, the school announced just recently that he's going to be going to the pros, going to be a defensive coordinator. So I'm happy for the guy because on a personal level, that's a good thing, right? On a personal level, you can't really be mad at that. I'm not going to take the dude, you don't want to take food out of somebody else's mouth. So congratulations. Welcome to the Green Bay Packers, Mr. Hafley, or however you pronounce your last name if I'm messing that up. But we hope you do well to the point or to the tune of where we can have some streets named after Matt LaFleur if he pans out, right? I mean, they have one from Mike McCarthy. I mean, if you can't do better than Mike McCarthy, I mean, come on. So, but that's what we got for you on today's podcast. It was not a reading, not so much, talking and, off the top of my head and just going over what's been going on in the game or what I have scripted written down. But I appreciate you guys watching and listening in today. I don't know how the season's going to go coming up in the next few months when the season starts up. I know that the current NFL season it still hasn't finished because we have the Super Bowl left. But to me, it's like once you lose and the season is done for your team, you just got to move on, right? You just got to forget. It's a new team that's going to be coming together. Some guys, old faces are going to be gone and new faces are going to come. So we're excited about that. Excited to see what we do in the draft. It'd be interesting to see if we pick up a QB or two. Also is interested in seeing what's going to happen with Jordan Love's contract. Whether you think he deserves it or not. I tend to think not, to be honest with you. I don't know if he's shown me enough to commit, but I mean, I think the next question to ask is, well, who else can you get? So, I mean, from that perspective, yeah, you definitely want to keep the guy. You don't want to cut him or anything like that. But how much do you want to pay him? I don't know. Like, does he deserve Patrick Mahomes money? Hell no. I don't know anybody in their right mind going to try to pay something like that. So what kind of money does he get? So I don't know. But I'm sure he'll get something. And I'm sure it'll be pretty good. So I guess we'll see. And hopefully we'll break that news when that time comes. So as always, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, you should get to know him. It'll be the best decision you ever make in your life. I would just ask him to come into your life and trust me, guys, it will be the best decision. God is good all the time. He'll take care of you because he's taking care of me, and he'll definitely take care of you. He's no respect as a person. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. For those who are watching and or listening, like and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube, and hit me up with a follow if you're watching me on Twitch. Peace, love, and hap. And as always, God bless. Go Pack, go. I'll catch you guys on the next show. I'm out.